Meeting is open. I have roll call, please.
Commissioner Gobelman,
Here.
Commissioner Partain.
Here.
Commissioner Baker. Commissioner McClelland,
Here.
Commissioner Grant,
Yeah.
Commissioner Reed.
Do we have quorum?
We have a.
We will proceed. So this evening, the planning commission will be holding a public hearing on action items 4.1, the conditional use permit for a marijuana retailer at 47464 Highway 58. Map/tax number lot 21-35-17-23. And we'll be addressing agenda number 4.2 is a conditional use permit for retail sales for Texas Pride at 76280 Industrial Park Way. Is this 35 and 36? So the continuation of the. tax
Oh,
lot
yeah.
numbers?
Yep.
Okay, tax lot number 21-35-15-0004-100. And correction to 4.1 is that their tax lot number is 21-35-17-23-09700. At this time, I'd like to open up public comment. Do we have any public comment?
No.
Yeah. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
No minutes.
No. All right, having none. Is the applicant for 47464 Highway 58 present? Jeremy Quick. 70 Southwest Century Drive, Suite 100-113, Bend, Oregon 97702. Is Jeremy Quick present? Is Jeremy Quick present? Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item 4.2, conditional use permit for retail sales for Texas Pride at 76280 Industrial Parkway. Tax lot number 21-35-15-0004-100.
Can you just keep the room?
Oh.
You just.
Oh. Jeremy. Jeremy, turn on your microphone.
You asked me to turn on the microphone?
Yeah, we couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay. I thought you would like it muted.
No, we're actually asking you. Are you still going for the conditional use permit?
I would love to.
Do you own the property at this time?
No, I'm not the property owner and I never have been.
And will you become the property owner?
Well, that's the intention. If we get the conditional use permit, then it makes it interesting to buy the building or worthwhile to buy the building. Sorry about that ring.
Yeah, so the conditional use permit is not tied to the owner, it's tied to the address.
Understood.
Understood. So if you're not doing anything with that building, how can we give you a conditional use permit?
Well, I want to buy the building and the purchase is conditioned upon acquisition of the CUP because my intended use as the building owner and as also the tenant is to run a retail cannabis business in the building.
All right. So do you have a sales agreement in place at this time?
We had a sales agreement in place and we're renegotiating the agreement.
Okay. So is the owner of the property present?
I'm not aware of that. I just called in,
Okay,
but the owner of the property signed documentation that allows me to be the agent of this transaction, or excuse me, agent, if that's the right word,
Right,
for submission of the documentation.
right. And is that, and how long ago was that document made?
The designation of me as an agent, I don't have the documentation in front of me. I don't know the date.
Okay. So before we proceed, I need to declare that I have ex parte information on this property, and that I have talked to the current property owner, and he has indicated that that sale has been terminated. And didn't you sign dissolution documents with that?
Yes.
So-
Wait, what is a dissolution document?
So
I mean,
your prior sales agreement has been voided, right?
I believe so, correct.
Correct. So I don't believe that we can proceed with your conditional use permit until we have assurance that you are actually going to be the owner of that property, because that permit traveled to the property owner.
Interesting. Okay, I was unaware of that. The agents, the documentation you required about as authorized agent is dated 2/16 of 2022.
Right. But I understand your prior sales arrangement was canceled after that date.
Yes, it was predicated upon an owner carry, and now it's not going to be predicated on an owner carry.
Right. So there isn't currently any paperwork available that indicates that a sale is pending.
Not at this time.
Okay. So when you do have that paperwork, then you can come back to us for conditional use permit.
Okay.
Okay. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Darren.
What can you make an offer if you can't?
Moving on.
Wait, can I ask a clarifying question?
Certainly.
So if historically the purchase and sale agreement was predicated upon the acquisition of a CUP, and if I don't own the building, I think what you're saying is I need to have a contract in place with the seller that indicates I will become the owner of the building at some point in the future.
Correct.
Understood. Okay. Okay, we'll go back to the drawing board with the brokers. We were unaware of that. We thought that by changing the terms of the agreement, we dissolved the last PSA and we're going to effect a new PSA, but we're advised to wait until this hearing before we recontracted.
Right. But we
That
don't.
seems to have been bad advice, or
Yeah.
unclear for planning purposes, excuse me, not bad advice, but not clear about the nature of the planning. So we were under the impression that we could proceed with the CUP, and then with the successful CUP, then we could recontract the building and then have it close quickly. But that seems to be more of a real estate timeframe, which is different than the planning department's timeframe or protocol.
Well, okay, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but also understand that how can I in good faith conditional use permit to a property where the owner is not present for the hearing?
Yeah, I did not know the owner was not going to be present for the hearing.
Well, the owner, or the owner who has an agreement to buy it would be present, but since that's not in place, then I'm afraid we're gonna have to push this off to our next meeting if that, if you can get all the paperwork in place.
Understood. I think, got it.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
I think I kind of skipped ahead on you guys. So we need to declare impartiality, so I need to read this stuff. So state law requires decision makers to be impartial. Does any commissioner wish to make any disclosure or abstain from participating or voting on this application because you may gain financially or as a result of this application, you own property within the area entitled to receive notice of this hearing? You have a direct private interest in the proposal, or because you have determined that you cannot be impartial. Does any commissioner need to declare any contact, written or otherwise, with the applicant or any other party involved in this hearing, or any other source of outside information regarding the subject of this hearing? Does any commissioner need to declare? Once again, I'll state for the record that I did have information on agenda item 4.1. And therefore, and it doesn't affect my impartiality. So does anyone present have an objection of the Oakridge Planning Commission's jurisdiction for impartiality? Hearing none. So agenda item 4.2. Could we now have the staff report?
Want me to read the staff report?
Sure, read it into the record.
All right. All right, this is the staff report for the conditional use permit to operate a trailer wholesale business as a similar use. Staff report was prepared on August 1st, 2022 for hearing date, which is today, August 17th, 2022. File number is CUP 2022-03. Property owner is Texas Pride Trailers out of Madisonville, Texas. The applicant is Micah Brett, representing Texas Pride Trailers. Additional agents, Louis Gomez of L&L Consulting Investments. The property at issue via the assessor's map is 21-35-15-00-04100 and -04200. Physical address 76280 Industrial Parkway, Oakridge, Oregon 97463. Zoning is for I2 Heavy Industrial District. A request for a conditional use permit to operate a trailer wholesale business as a use similar proposal pursuant to Oakridge Land Use and Development Code 11.02 subparagraph 2F. Use similar and Article 24 conditional use permit. Specifically, the applicant is requesting to operate a trailer wholesale storage, pickup, and delivery of trailers with the manufacturing of trailers and the minor or limited retail sales of trailers. Applicable criteria is Article 24 conditional use permits. All right, in section 11.02 2F, uses similar to those listed above are normally located in and are consistent with the purpose of this district. In the staff report, the recommended finding for approval is as follows. The applicant is making a use similar application request under the allowance above subsection 2F. Specifically, the applicant reports the business constitutes a use similar case as similar with section article 11.0210, retail sale of wood for fuel or the sale of other wood products. The subject property is tax lots 4100 and 4200 according to the applicant's site plan, which is attachment B. Subject property are lots 35 and 36 of the Oakridge Industrial Park, first edition. In the applicant's supplemental materials, the agent explained the owner will operate a trailer wholesale storage pickup and delivery of trailers business and is requesting the use similar case for the minor or limited retail sales of trailers on the subject property within the heavy industrial zoning district. The applicant states the proposal is in two phases. Phase 1 is to establish the wholesale storage, delivery, and pickup of trailers. The trailer company manufactures trailers to include car haulers, dump trailers, flatbeds, vehicle roll-offs, tilts, and lowboys. Texas Pride business's aim is the ability to do on-site trailer sales to patrons during regular business hours, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. The trailers will be stored on site in fenced secured area. There will be a lot attendant to assist customers as indicated in the application. Phase 2 is intended for processing or manufacturing of the trailers on site for sale to the public approximately 12 to 18 months out, as further detailed in the applicant's site plan. Staff note, the purpose of the heavy industrial use zone is to provide areas for industries that engages in the processing of raw materials into refined materials. Staff agree it is reasonable to cite such a proposed business in this area, given its pre-existing industrial zoning classification that are more distant from residential zones. The nearest residential zone is approximately 1,000 feet to the west near Roaring Rapids Way. In addition, the proposed use appears consistent with the nature of the Oakridge Industrial Park zoning uses listed in its permitted use section uses, such as automobile and truck repair and or trucking and or motor freight stations and facilities. As such, staff agree the applicant's proposed use, the wholesale and manufacturing of trailers and limited retail trailer sales, fits as a use similar case and the criterion above is addressed. Staff recommends that the Oakridge Planning Commission make deliberations on the use similar matter during their scheduled August 17th meeting, which is today. Section 24.06, general criteria. A conditional use permit may be granted only if the Planning Commission finds that the proposal conforms to all the following general criteria and to all other additional criteria or conditions required by this section or the Planning Commission. 1, that the proposed development shall be compatible with applicable policies of the Oakridge Area Comprehensive Plan. Staff's recommend finding for approval. The subject property is tax lots 4100 and 4200, according to the applicant's site plan. The subject property is lots 35 and 36 of the OIP. Staff is not aware how the proposed use of the wholesale manufacturing of trailers and limited retail sales is dissimilar with other existing or proposed industrial uses allowed in the heavy industrial zone park area. The Oakridge Industrial Park is formerly part of the Pope and Talbot area, an area slotted for industrial development as indicated in the applicable heavy industrial zoning classification. The Oakridge Comprehensive Plan was last revised in 1993, and applicant's proposal does not appear to be inconsistent with the comprehensive plan policies. Therefore, the criterion is addressed. 2, that the location, size, design, and operating characteristics of the proposed development will be compatible with and will not adversely affect the livability, or appropriate development of abutting properties and surrounding neighborhood with consideration to be given to harmony in scale, bulk, coverage, and density, to the availability of public facilities and utilities, to the harmful effect, if any, upon desirable neighborhood character, to the generation of traffic and the capacity of surrounding streets, and to any other relevant impact of the development. Staff report finding for approval is as follows. The present proposed development is wholesale storage, delivery, and pickup of trailers in phase 1, and manufacturing of trailers and limited sales of trailers in phase 2. For the business operations to be conducted between hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. according to the application materials. The proposed use is located within an existing industrial park with active business to the east and west of the subject property. The existing roadway, Industrial Parkway, will be used for the drop-off and pickup of commercial and manufactured goods to serve the use. The applicant states the use will not create traffic that would hinder the use of the existing or future uses abutting the highway or roadway adjacent to the industrial park. Nearest residential zones, approximately 1,000 feet to the west along Roaring Rapids Way. According to zoning map, all the surrounding properties are also zoned heavy industrial. In addition, there are existing buildings on nearby industrial zone properties where the business appear to be currently operating within the industrial park. The applicant states the majority of the property is asphalt and concrete, and there will be minimal noise and dust created from business operations. Therefore, based upon this information, the application proposal appears to be compatible with and not adversely affecting the livability of abutting properties and surrounding neighborhoods, with consideration given to scale, bulk, coverage, and density of the proposal. In addition, the applicant states the utilities are located at the southern property line. As part of the permitting process, the applicant will be required to obtain applicable building permits for any proposed structures or road approach permits for vehicular or commercial driveway approaches off Industrial Parkway as a condition of approval. As conditioned, the proposal meets the criteria. 3, that the location, design, and site planning of the proposed development will provide a convenient and functional living, working, shopping, or civic environment and will be as attractive as the nature of the use and setting will allow. Staff finding for approval on this issue is as follows. The applicant submitted a revised site plan indicating ingress and egress, traffic circulation, customer parking area, trailer loading and unloading, and existing building use, along with the proposed 30-foot by 20-foot operations building on tax lot 4200. On tax lot 4100, the applicant proposes a main manufacturing building of 100 feet by 30 feet, a painting building with a 12-foot overhang, size of 40 feet by 20 feet, and a welding building with a 12-foot overhang, also size 40 feet by 20 feet. Additionally, the site plan indicates shipping containers and miscellaneous storage area with a metal storage area located in the north of the property near Fish Hatchery Road. As part of the permitting process, the applicant will be required to obtain applicable building permits for any proposed structures or road approach permits for vehicular or commercial driveway approaches off Industrial Parkway as a condition of approval. As conditioned, the proposal meets the criteria. 4, that the required dedication and improvement of streets within the development site for the proper extension and or connection of necessary streets, pedestrian facilities, and bikeways shall be made. Staff report recommended finding for this approval is as follows. The proposed use will take access from Industrial Parkway, an existing city facility, and maintain road as outlined in attachment B. No dedication of rights of way or improvements are necessary. No pedestrian facilities or bikeways are necessary for the proposed conditional use. Therefore, criteria in item 4 is addressed. Item 5, that the required dedication of right-of-way within the development site for the extension of collector and arterial streets shall be made. Staff report on this item is as follows. Dedication of right-of-way is not necessary for the proposed business operation. No additional right-of-way is necessary for this proposal. Therefore, the criteria in 5 is not applicable. Item 6, that the use of the development site shall not adversely affect access to and subdivision of abutting properties. Staff report finding for approval on this item is as follows. Proposed access is off Industrial Parkway as indicated in the applicant's site plan. There are no residentially zoned properties abutting, meaning directly adjacent to the subject property, tax lots 4100 and 4200. All the surrounding property is zoned heavy industrial. Again, the nearest residential areas approximately 1,000 feet to the west along Roaring Rapids Way. Thus, development of the site will not adversely affect access to and subdivision of abutting properties. Therefore, criteria item 6 is met. Section 24.07, general conditions. The planning commission shall designate conditions concerning the conditional use permit as it deems necessary to secure the purpose of this section. It may require guarantees and evidence that conditions have been met. Conditions set upon that permit may include the following. 1, regulation of uses, special yard setbacks, coverage, and height. 2, requiring fences, walls, screens, landscaping, and maintenance. Note that any area not covered by a structure or parking must be landscaped following Article 25, site plan review of this ordinance. 3, regulation and control of points of vehicular ingress and egress. 4, regulation of signs. 5, regulation of noise, vibration, odors, and sightliness. 6, required surfacing of parking areas. 7, requiring rehabilitation plans. 8, regulation of hours of operation and duration of use or operation. 9, requiring a time period within which the proposed use shall be developed. 10, requiring bonds to ensure performance of special conditions. 11, such other conditions as will make possible the development of the city in an orderly and efficient manner and in conformity with the intent and purposes set forth in this section. Staff report recommendation finding for this matter is as follows. Section 24.07 allows the planning commission to impose certain conditions of approval on the conditional use permit. As indicated in above findings, the applicant will have to obtain any necessary building permits for the proposed structures or road approach permits for the driveway approaches off Industrial Parkway as a condition of approval. The ability to impose certain conditions of approval is a discretionary decision that the Oakridge Planning Commission can make. If the Planning Commission decides to impose certain conditions of approval to secure the purpose of this section, that would be section 11.01 to I-2 heavy industrial zone. In addition, any proposed conditions should be clear and objective and outlined in the final order that staff have prepared for the Planning Commission. Section 20.02 required off-street parking. For each new structure or use, each structure or use increased in area and each change in the use of an existing structure, there shall be provided and permanently maintained off-street parking spaces in accordance with the provisions of this article. All public or private parking areas and parking spaces, except those required with a single unit or 2-unit dwelling on a single lot, shall be designed and laid out to conform to the requirements of this ordinance and the Planning Commission. 2, groups of 3 or more parking spaces, except those with a single unit or 2-unit dwellings on a single lot, shall be served by a service drive so that no backward movements or other maneuvering of a vehicle within a street other than an alley shall be required. Service drive shall be designed and constructed to help the flow of traffic and to provide maximum safety in traffic areas and egress and maximum safety of pedestrians and vehicular traffic on the site. 3, all parking area designs shall comply in all respects the American with Disabilities Act, otherwise known as the ADA. The minimum number of accessible parking spaces shall be provided as follows. The accessible spaces shall be provided in addition to the total number of required parking spaces. 4, a plan drawn to scale showing how the off-street parking requirements are to be fulfilled shall accompany a request for a building permit. Staff report recommended finding for approval for this section is as follows. While the applicant's site plan indicates a parking area, it does not depict actual parking spaces, layout, or striping. Per the table for ADA parking spaces, at least one ADA van accessible parking space must be provided in the parking area and must be a condition of approval. Section 20.04, vehicular parking spaces required. Except as provided elsewhere in this ordinance, the number of off-street parking spaces required shall be no less than the following. 1, all uses shall provide parking spaces for each employee working on or from the site as determined by the maximum number of employees during any single hour of the day. 2, all uses shall provide parking space for each vehicle operating on or from the site. 3, for all of the following, fractional space requirements shall be counted as a whole space. When square feet are specified, the area measured shall be the gross floor area of the building primary to the use, but shall exclude any space within a building used for off-street parking, loading, or service functions not primary to the use. When the requirements are based on the number of employees, the number counted shall be those working on the premises during the largest shift at peak season. Staff report recommend findings for this matter is as follows. While the applicant's site plan indicates a parking area, it does not depict actual parking spaces, layout, or striping. Per the table for number of parking spaces, at least 5 parking spaces and 1 ADA van accessible parking space must be provided in the parking area and must be a condition of approval. Staff's calculation used 1 space per 800 square feet. This is for industrial with warehousing of gross floor area total of 3,800 square feet. Section 20.08, vehicle parking area improvements. All public or private parking areas which contain 4 or more parking spaces and outdoor vehicle sales areas shall be improved according to the following. 1, all required parking areas shall be paved with a durable, dust-free surfacing of asphaltic concrete, Portland cement concrete, or other paving materials approved by the city engineer. All parking areas shall be graded so as not to drain stormwater over the public sidewalk or onto any abutting public or private property. 3, all parking areas except for those with a single unit or 2-unit dwelling shall provide a substantial bumper or curb stop that will prevent cars from extending over the property line. 4, all parking areas and service drives except for those with a single unit or 2-unit dwelling shall be enclosed along any interior property which abuts any residential district with a 70% opaque, slight obscuring fence, wall, or hedge not less than 3 feet or more than 6 feet in height, but following the visual clearance and interior yard requirements established for the district in which it is located. 5, where parking or maneuvering area is adjacent and parallel to a street or driveway, a decorative wall, masonry, or similar quality material, arcade, trellis, evergreen hedge, or similar screen shall be established parallel to the street or driveway. The required wall or screening shall provide breaks to allow for access to the site and sidewalk by pedestrians via pathways and shall not prevent the visual surveillance of the site for security. Evergreen hedges use to comply with this standard shall be a minimum of 36 inches in height at maturity and shall be of such species, number, and spacing to provide the required screening within 1 year after planting. Any areas between the wall, hedge, and the street driveway line shall be landscaped with plants or other ground cover. Plants, maybe? All walls shall be maintained or otherwise replaced by the owner. 6, parking lot landscaping shall consist of an evenly distributed mix of shade trees with shrubs and or ground cover plants. Evenly distributes means that the trees and other plants are distributed along the parking lot perimeter and between parking bays to provide a partial canopy. At a minimum, 1 tree per 5 parking spaces shall be planted to create a partial tree canopy over and around the parking area. All parking areas with more than 15 spaces shall include landscape islands with trees to break up the parking area into rows, not more than 8 contiguous parking spaces. All landscape areas shall have a minimum dimensions of 4 feet by 4 feet to ensure adequate soil, water, and space for healthy plant growth. 7, all plant vegetation in this area shall be adequately maintained by a permanent irrigation system, and said fence or wall shall be maintained and in good condition. Screening or planting shall be of such size as to provide the required degree of screening within 20 months after installation. Adequate provisions shall be maintained to protect walls, fences, and plant materials from being damaged by vehicles using the parking area. 8, any light provided to eliminate any public or private parking area or vehicle sales area shall be so arranged as to reflect the light away from any abutting or adjacent residential district or use. 9, all parking spaces and service drives shall be clearly and permanently marked. 10, a grading structure and drainage plan shall be submitted to the city administrator and approved by the city engineer. Parking lots shall be provided, 11. Parking lots shall be provided with landscaping as specified for the district in which the use or structure is located, and also the landscaping provisions of Article 25, Site Plan Review, Section 25.07 of this ordinance. Staff report finding for approval on this issue is as follows. The existing property is paved or concrete as indicated by the applicant. As a condition of approval, the customer parking area will need to meet the above standards to include paving or other dust-free surfacing, bumpers, parking lot landscaping with mix of trees or shrubs, and if lighting is proposed, meet the illumination regulations for the lot with appropriate striping. All parking spaces must be permanently marked. Any lighting proposed to illuminate the parking area shall be arranged to reflect the light away from budding uses. As condition, the proposal meets the criteria. Conclusion, as found and discussed in the staff report, the proposal meets the applicable approved criteria. Staff recommend Planning Commission approve the request pursuant to the proposed conditions of approval, which are as follows. 1, the owner applicant must obtain applicable building permits for any proposed structures and road approach permits for vehicular or commercial driveway approaches off Industrial Park Way. Second condition, prior to issuance of building permits, the owner applicant must submit a site plan indicating parking space layout and provide at least 5 marked parking spaces and 1 ADA van accessible parking space in the parking area. Parking spaces must meet Oakridge's parking area improvement standards to include paving or other dust-free surfacing, bumpers, parking lot landscaping with mix of trees or shrubs, lighting, and be permanently marked or striped.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions of the staff at this time? John, you good? Okay. Will the applicant's representative come forward and state why this application should be open?
Yes, my name is Michael Judd. Executive Six Prop Trailers. What we're hoping to do with this is go through the first stage of what we're setting up for future development. First stage is setting up the lot for being able to store and distribute by pickup or delivery of our trailers that are purchased from Madison or manufactured in Madison, Texas. But we would also like the use of the property to do retail sales ourselves. So if we walk in customers from local area or just off the highway can purchase trailers with us on site. And that'll be the first stage in making sure everything is working smoothly to start the second stage of our building in Oakridge, which will be manufactured.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions for the applicant?
Nope.
Yeah, I think it's pretty well covered.
So are there any people in the audience who wish to speak in favor of this proposal? Statements in favor? Statements in favor? Statements in favor? Hearing none. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak in opposition to this proposal? Statements in opposition. Statements in opposition. Statements in opposition. Hearing none. Is there anyone who has any statements in general? Statements in general. Statements in general. Statements in general. Hearing none. Public hearing is closed. Commission discussion. Is there any discussion?
I think it's all very covered.
Thanks, Michael. Are the commissioners in agreement with the conditions as laid out in the staff recommendations?
Yes.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the conditional use permit for Texas Pride Trailers?
I move that we approve the conditional use permit for Texas Pride Trailers
With the conditions that stated.
with the conditions as stated.
Do I have a second? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner McClellan,
Hi.
Commissioner Partain.
Aye.
Commissioner Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Gobelman,
Aye. Now therefore, let it be hereby ordered that the subject application is approved on the given date of August 17th, 2022.
Today's the 16th.
Okay, 16th. August 16th, 2022. Thank you. All right, so is there any other discussion items?
There's just the openings for the commission and expiration dates of current commissioners should probably be addressed. There's some current commissioner positions that expire at the end of this year, and of course we have 2 openings which have been posted last week. No applicants yet, right?
Right, so for the record, John McClellan, Dale Partain, and Kevin Gobelman's terms expire 12/31/22. Don Grant and Jeffrey Reed, their terms expire at 12/31/24. We have two vacant positions. One expires 12/31/2024, and the other expires 12/31/2022.
When is mine? Sorry,
This is December 1st.
what are you doing to be? What do you do?
All right, so that concludes the announcements, and thank you, commissioners. This meeting is adjourned.
I just want to make sure, next meeting scheduled right now for September 20th at 7 PM. Is that still workable for everyone at this time?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I will be on an airplane to Connecticut.
Since we're so close on quorum, perhaps we should adjust the date and time.
John, do you have any other available dates for September?
I'm flying to Connecticut on the 20th and I'll be back on the 28th. So
Do you want to go before you leave? Have a schedule a meeting before you go?
that would, I mean, we could just do it the one day before would be fine. I mean,
Everybody good with the date before?
Let me just check, see if there's any conflicts.
it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I can't not go on my flight.
No. It's just important that we have a quorum at the next meeting, because I think agenda item 4.1 may be coming back around to us.
Sure.
There are two other committee meetings that day. A WAC subcommittee meeting at 5 and an audit committee meeting at 6. I'm fairly confident that 6 o'clock audit committee meeting will end by 7 PM. So
So are we within notification limits if we move it back to the week time?
What's the date? The 13th.
Yeah, 30 days. That's not
I need 20 days to notice that.
20 days. Yeah, we are.
We're good. So why don't we do that? Meet on the Tuesday before?
Tuesday, September 13th.
All right. John, you good with that?
I'm fine with that.
All right. Everybody?
Yep.
Sounds good. Let's do it. Anything else? All right, folks, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Night.
Thanks, Michael.
Oh, yeah, no,